fishing in deep on the Delta. Today we're on the Delta and we're fishing for stripers. I'm with my partner Junior from RB Bass and my son Nathan, and we're going after big bass today. I wasn't going after big bass. I was using a jerk bait and I was having fun catching small bass, but Junior said he didn't want those, so we really spent a lot of time today throwing glide baits, and we're going to talk about two of our favorite glide baits. Two of the standards in which should be in everybody's arsenal, and we're going to focus on these because even though they are standards and they're very good baits, they're not the most expensive baits out there. And you guys that are just getting started, you can spend a lot of money buying a lot of different glide baits, but if you stick to this River to Sea S-Waver and the Sneaky Pete, you're going to be fine. Talk about the Sneaky Pete a little bit.
Well, the Sneaky Pete, that's what I've been throwing. I've been focusing on it a lot lately. It's been really good because it doesn't blow out in current. And it's a budget bait. You do lose a lot out here. I've upgraded the hardware just because we're going after these larger stripers. The hardware that comes on is great for, largemouth or just, regular size stripers, but we want those giants, so we're upgrading just so we don't lose any. This is the Papa Pete. There's obviously a big difference in size, but this one's just as effective.
And the colors you're throwing on that?
This is a blush trout. I've been throwing the adult trout. I've also been throwing, we're hooked up here.
Good sharp hooks are important.
Been throwing the baby trout as well.
Any kind of light trout, bone or white, is gonna get you bit on the Delta.
Definitely.
So Nathan, you've got the S-Waver 168 there and a 200. Talk a little bit about those. And obviously these are modified.
Modified
Yes.
these the 168 and the 200. If you've been fishing glide baits at all, you're probably familiar with these. These were some of the first ones on the market, and they're still just as effective today. Junior recently turned me on to throwing the Sneaky Pete tail on these, and I've really been liking it. A little bit brighter color just adds to the visibility. It's softer, which doesn't hurt your hookup ratio at all, and they're just a slightly larger than the standard S-Waver tail, and that's the original there. The original is also a little bit harder, and these softer ones, they respond a lot better to faster movements, jerks, and you can just work them really erratically with these tails.
And are you changing out the hooks on these?
With the S-Wavers, this is important. With the 168, I trust these hooks. These are some pretty solid hooks. They come with what I would call about a 3X hook, and there's not a huge gap on here, so the fish don't get a ton of leverage on them. I fish these right out of the box as far as the hooks go. Now the 200, those are more hooks designed for largemouth. If you're fishing stripers, I definitely recommend bumping up to some owners or some Gamakatsus, at least a 2X. And while you're at it, switch out the split rings as well.
We're going to take a little break right now for some action footage, and we're going to show you why Junior bulks up his baits.
Yes.
Oh, don't forget a big net too.
Yeah, big net's important.
Good one. Oh, net's not big enough. That's a nice one, Junior. Nice. Oh.
All right, now you know why Junior switches out his hardware. Junior, let's talk about the rod you're using on that, especially for the bigger 200 size baits or the bigger baits.
So this is a Phoenix M1 inshore. It's the 8.2 medium light. I throw my Sneaky Pete's on it. I throw S Wavers on it, Papa Pete's on it. I have it with a Dio Alexa 300 HD. Braid to mono leader,
65-pound braid,
65 to 25. I got buddies that throw straight 65 and straight mono as well, so you don't have to throw it on that with a leader.
And you're using about 6 or 7 feet of mono leader, and you'll run that all the way up to 2 feet.
Yes, and I tie a longer leader to start with, just so as I'm catching fish throughout the day and I'm retying, I don't have to retie my leader as often. Sometimes you do, sometimes you're not, get screwed up, whatever. But yeah, that's pretty much my setup.
And that rod will throw both the 168 and say the 200 size. Nathan, you're saying when you're throwing a 168, the smaller baits, you really like that smaller reel. You can go with the standard largemouth
either
bass
one will work.
200.
I'm throwing the same rod. Mine is a 711, the same Phoenix inshore. That's a classic out here on the Delta. You'll find them in shops all over the area because they work really well. They're not too expensive, and they fish really well. So the 8.2 or the 711, both of them throw the 168 and the 200 sizes really well. They've got a little bit of tip. They're nice and light. They work great. If you're throwing the 8 and 9-inch glides, a 300 size reel gets you a little bit more distance, a little more control. If you're just starting out and you want to come out here and catch some big stripers on glides and you're going to start with the 7s, you definitely don't have to jump into a 300 size reel. Your standard 200 size reels loaded with 65-pound braid, 50-pound braid, they're going to work just fine, especially with the smaller glides. 7-to-1 retrieve, though, is important. One thing that I see, I would say one mistake that a lot of bass guys coming out here trying to catch stripers make is they're not working the bait fast enough. There's no reason to fool around. A medium fast to fast retrieve rate, you want that thing going just fast enough to where it's not blowing out and you're covering a lot of water. That's what's important. These baits, they draw fish from a long ways away, and if you cover a lot of water, you're going to get some big stripers.
By speeding that retrieve up, you're taking it from a kind of a glide bait, which you would fish for largemouth bass, to a searching bait that's more of an erratic, faster side-to-side motion that will generally, the stripers really like that, that faster moving bait. So, Junior, when you're fishing these baits, what depth do you like to see, what water clarity, and what kind of weather conditions?
Well, a couple feet of water clarity is fine. We like 5 feet or less. We're trying to catch them when they're in the shallows. Sometimes we have to go deep. The majority of our fish are coming in the shallows. Obviously, bluebird skies, no wind, that's not what we're looking for. We'd like a little weather, some wind, definitely some current. But like with that fish we just caught, you can catch them in the middle of the day, light wind.
You just got to stay on them.
You have to stay dedicated to that glide bait. You're going to get better bites. You're not going to get a ton of small fish, but you're going to get the right fish.
And it's not a high percentage bait. And I think the one thing all three of us could agree on every point when it comes to fishing swim baits is you have to stay on them to get the confidence. Once you get that first few bites where they slam it, I mean, you're addicted.
Oh, you're hooked.
Then your confidence will just soar and you'll start catching more fish. So, Junior, thanks for sharing all that. Why don't you hit your social media stuff up right now?
Yeah, check us out. It's rbbassfishing.net. We got the social media. You look us up RB Bass on Facebook, Instagram. My Instagram is Aiken to Fish. My Facebook's Junior Aiken. Give us a follow, give us a like. We'll follow you back, and hope to see you out here on the Delta.
And right now I'm aching to go back fishing. So
there you go.
Thank
Let's
you guys
get
for
after
watching.
it.
Hey, don't forget to watch In Deep on the Delta. Make sure you subscribe. We'll see you guys on the water.
All right. He's digging on you too.
What they look like, Junior?
I think so.
Hi.
Yeah. Bam, baby.